Welcome to WAVE Channel 20, Auburn Community Television, and this episode of Meet the Artist. I'm LOUCINDA, your host. Meet the Artist is supported by the North Auburn Artists to introduce artists in our local community. Today, our guest local artist is Bobbie Powell. Bobbie is an acrylic painter. She is not only going to be sharing her beautiful acrylic paintings, which have brought so much color to our studio, but she's also going to share with us a technique that truly adds a personal touch to her paintings. Bobbie, welcome. So glad to see you.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's first start out because I introduced you as an acrylic painter.
Yes.
But I understand that there are other mediums that you paint in as well.
Yes. I started out with oil painting, and I still do that on occasion when I want to be a little more serious. But this is my fun painting style, and I love it.
What is it about acrylics that is different from the oil painting?
Well, acrylics dry faster, and you can paint over it a lot more easier than over the oil. The oil, you know, you mix another color on top, and it decides to become a different color. And it'll take overnight at least, or a week, for it to be dry to the touch so that you can use another color on top of it. The acrylics, I just can add mediums to them. I can make them thick. I can make them a wash with them. They're just so versatile.
Now with your acrylic paintings, you use a lot of different textures in them.
Yes.
And then you've also then moved on into mixed media to add even more texture to them.
Yes.
And so that we're going to be talking about both of those today, is your acrylics using the various acrylic techniques, but then also the mixed media.
Yes.
So let's start out with one of your paintings, which is of one of your grandsons.
Yes.
I believe it's Soccer Levi.
Yes.
Now this is one of the things that I think all of us as painters, we end up painting our families.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very fortunate in that.
Yeah, well, sometimes. My daughter, sometimes she loves my painting, sometimes she doesn't, you know. You just have to take it with a grain of salt.
So let's talk about Soccer Levi, because this one, you actually have quite a bit of layering, particularly when we look at his shirt,
Mm-hmm.
that you're able to actually get the creases within it.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you achieve that in this particular painting?
Yeah, the shirt was the most difficult part of the painting, and I took the photo that we had taken of Levi in action and made the contrast very strong so that I could actually see where the shadows were. And then I just started painting, drawing it with the paint, and then just adding until I felt that the contrast was, you know, like it should be, so that you'd be able to see that there are shadows on the white shirt. It was pretty difficult, but I just kept going. With the acrylics, it'll dry, put more on, slap it on there, mix it on, move it around, and pretty soon it'll be there.
Now you said you worked from a photograph of this one.
Yes.
Do you typically use photographs?
Sometimes, well, for those kinds of things, yeah, for the family, for anything that somebody will give me to paint for them, I want a photograph, even if it's different colors. I may change the colors, I may change the whole thing, but at least I have something to go by. These are totally from my emotions and when I get into the abstract part. It's what I'm feeling inside and what I'm thinking about at that moment in my room, in my art room, which is, most people call it studio, I call it an art room.
So let's move on to the next painting that you have brought, and this is actually another one of your grandchildren.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked you to bring this particular painting,
Yeah.
because it actually shows work in progress.
Yes.
And the steps that you take in painting. And particularly, so on this one, you started with an orange background.
Yes, I started with the bright orange, kind of like a neon paint, and put it all over the canvas. And then I drew, this is Sean, my other grandson. I drew Sean on there. He was, you know, playing his guitar in front of the city hall in Roseville. And then I decided, so this is the first drawing of him. That was another layer. Another layer was when I decided to put color on it and fill in, you know, with the colors that it's going to be, and fill in some of the guitar specifics. I still have probably 5-10 layers to go. Another layer is the kind of beigeish color that I'm going to put over the orange, and then I'm going to leave this kind of outline of the bright orange all over it, and maybe put some more bright orange in here.
Now, one of the criticisms I've often heard about acrylics is that you can't blend them because they do dry so fast. But you were telling me that there's a product that you can buy that helps with that process.
Yes. Golden and Liquitex, I believe both of them, put out a product that allows the paint to dry slower. So you can put it on, or on your palette, you're going to mix your different colors. You're going to put that medium in it, mix it around, and then use it, and it's great. You can use that, or they also have base. I think it's Golden that has base acrylics, and they are actually made to dry slower, and you can paint like oil with those, except that by tomorrow it's going to be dry.
Which is one of the things I like about it.
Yeah.
It's instant gratification, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what I also love about this is just the way that you have actually captured the directions of his hands. And also I noticed that on Soccer Levi too, is his hands and just also the positioning of his legs, which are very, very difficult to capture. And I find it absolutely amazing. I love them.
Thank you. I purposely was doing movement in these two pieces. The Blue Line Gallery in Roseville had a competition for movement pieces, and I didn't get in the show, but it sure taught me a lot, getting the photos of the kids and doing some movement. I did 4 of them, I think.
Now, you've also brought some other acrylic paintings which show how you can use different acrylic products to actually bump up the texture in that acrylic. And one of the ones that I do love is Wedding Pink, which is just over your shoulder. Yeah. I know it's going to be really hard for you not to turn around and look at it.
I know, yeah.
It is absolutely a gorgeous, gorgeous picture. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this one, because I believe it started with the canvas had another painting on top of it.
Yes, lots of times. That happens a lot. I just get tired of a painting because I haven't sold it, or I don't like it. I never did like it. So I cover it with a bright color of paint. And actually that's how I get my abstracts, because then I'm feeling that, the dislike of the one that was there, and that I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to just put some emotion out there, and I get some medium. There's all kinds of mediums that you can buy. Mostly I use Golden. There's pumice. You can put pumice in it, which is like a sandy texture. You can put just a thick medium into the pigment, and it'll just puff it up, and you can just smooth it on and move it around. Lots of times I get my fingers in it, and I think on the vase on that I used my fingers to make the stripes. And
now this is the personal touch that I was referring to.
Yeah, right, yes. I often and I saw another artist do a whole painting with her fingers. So, I mean, it's something that happens when you're using your brush or your palette knife, and then all of a sudden you just have to get your finger in there, or your hand, or, pound on it. Lots of things happen when you're painting. I
think you get more of the tactile stimulation when you put your hands actually in that paint and put it on the painting.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I actually have thought about painting with acrylics, but the idea of using a brush and being that distance away hasn't been very appealing. But I think I like this idea.
Yeah, just put on some gloves and get a pot of paint and, dip your fingers in. I usually get like a scoop that you use in baking. I get a scoop and I just kind of plop it on there, and then I just kind of start moving it around, and it's therapy.
Well, now also what I like about the Wedding Pink, that I like to call it, is because to me it does create that image of a wedding. And you were telling me that it's actually, there's a table behind it, and then there's also there's something towards the back that moves your eye towards that. And so you're not only seeing that vase of flowers, but it pulls your eye further into the painting.
Oh, thank you.
And also just the detail. Now, when we're talking about using your fingers, is that how you got that beautiful texturing on the flowers, is by using your fingers?
Some of it is, but I also use a knife to go and, you know, put the little indentations for the flowers. I use a fork sometimes for hashing, hashtag type things, and a toothbrush, you know, just, or plop it on there. And the palette knife is a great friend too. You know, they've got all kinds of different shapes. You can like scoop it out, but you gotta leave it. You know, you just gotta scoop it out and leave it on there. And don't fool with it anymore. Turn around, walk away, come back.
Now, I also notice on some of your paintings that they're actually signed Zaga.
Oh yeah.
Who is Zaga?
We've got Zaga, yeah. She's my muse. I invite her into my studio every day. She looks like Goldie Hawn, but she's Zaga. My maiden name is Arzaga, so I use the last part of that for this girl that comes, and we just have a great time. She's got a lot of ideas, and she inspires me. She tells me to just go for it and be a little crazy. We dance, we sing. You know, I've always got to have music on. I close my door in my art room, and we just have a great time.
So sometimes people say, oh, she's in her Zaga mood?
I don't know, maybe.
Or Zaga zone.
Yeah, Zaga zone. Ooh, that's good. I should have a painting and call it Zaga zone.
Zaga zone.
Yeah.
So now the next painting that we're going to talk about is the one that's over my shoulder, which is just absolutely masterful in its color choices and just pops out from the wall. So tell me a little bit about making this particular painting.
I was at a show at High Hand Nursery and Gallery, and I was doing a demo, and I just started to, from my head, we were not outside, but I was outside as, you know, colors and flowers and all kinds of textures. So we were inside, and I just started to think in my head, you know, what I wanted to put on the canvas, and that kind of inspired me to just kind of throw the paint on there, let it drip, and move it around, and then I placed the flowers on there, and there's some collage, there's some stencils, and a couple, yeah, mostly stencils in that particular one, and then I just liked it at that point, so I just stopped.
Now, you referred to stencils. What exactly are stencils?
Stencils are, can I get over here and pick this up really quick? This is a stencil. So you can buy them, you can make them. This one's just, you know, circles, which I love. And so you just kind of put it on the canvas and dot it with paint.
And so that's actually what we're seeing up in the center of this, are the circles in there, as well as up on top of here.
Yeah.
See, I would have just thought that you went in there meticulously and painted those circles.
Yeah, no, I just decided it needed something underneath, probably, and then put the leaves on top.
Now, how long does it take you to do a painting like this beautiful one here?
That one, probably a couple hours. I worked on it all day at High Hand, but I was busy doing other things too. So probably 3 hours, 4 hours. And then when I went home, you know, just did some finishing touches, put in some darks where I thought it needed it, and lightened up some places, and that's it. And I use a wraparound canvas so I don't have to frame them, because I'm not good at framing. I'm not a framing person, so yeah.
Well, I think that's what I would end up doing too. I can't imagine adding that extra step to it.
No, you really need a good framer.
Now, you're going to be participating in the Plaster Art Studio Tour.
Yes.
And I note that in there that you are designated as mixed media artist.
Yes.
And what exactly does that mean?
Mixed media is sometimes it's multiple media. It's like you're using acrylic, you're using some gessos, you're using mediums, you're using any kind of water products. You could use watercolor, acrylics, anything that gouache, anything that mixes with water on a mixed media piece in this genre.
Now you have an example of a mixed media piece.
Yeah, I do. This one, Evergreen, is I had tissue paper on one of the layers, and it was just a jumble of color and stuff. This is the canvas, so you can kind of see the layers as they were put on the canvas. But I had tissue paper, I had some pictures in here. Then I covered them. I put a lot of water in my acrylic paint in the pigment, and it just kind of, this became a vase that was holding some pictures only in my head, and so I just kind of outlined it, and that's how it ended up.
So sometimes as you're creating these, they're actually materializing as you're working with them as well.
Yeah, especially the abstracts, because like I say, it's an emotion. You know, I just start out with the color. I start out with a thick, you know, kind of paint, what I want to do, what I want to feel in this, and I'll just start with the work.
Now in this one, did you use your hands in making any of these particular movements?
Well, there's some zoingers right in here. It's like that, and I probably used my hands on that. I use it for some of the circles sometimes, these, but I don't see any forks in that, so I didn't use a fork.
Well, do we have an example of where you used a fork?
Probably in that one I used a fork somewhere.
All right, and the one you're referencing is the one that's behind me.
Yeah.
And what I really like about the picture, the painting, that is behind me, is that this is a painting that you have painted it by turning it in different directions.
Yes.
And so it started one way, and then you turn it another, and you work on the painting as it goes. And when you brought it to show me the first time, I asked you which side was up. Do you remember what you told me?
No,
You said,
I don't know.
You said, which side do you think is up?
Oh, yes. I like to leave, I like to honor the person that's looking at my work. I like them to like it for what they see and interpret it the way they interpret it. They may have a totally different emotion that I had when I painted it, and that's important too.
Well, one of the things I definitely see in this particular painting is I see floral, because of all of the colors and just the way that that's automatically to me what I see. But what I love about it when it is being shown as we have it on the easel right now, to me, and this is again me bringing something to the painting,
Right.
it looks like we may be between two railroad tracks and a beautiful garden that is growing between them.
Yeah.
But that's what I saw to it.
Yeah.
But then what I absolutely loved about this is that when you turn this painting around, it ends up with a completely different story
Different look,
that it is telling. And I honestly love it this way because I think this looks like a secret garden.
Yeah.
I just imagine looking over a wall and you're just looking into somebody's garden.
Yeah, that's kind of in my head a lot. I have a really beautiful garden. I love to garden outside. And with this painting, who knows how I started. It was a repurposed one, I know that for sure. I used some stencils. I put a word up there. It says still that you can see, but there was more to do with whatever that said. And yeah, thank you.
Now you are going to give us a demonstration today.
Yes.
And the painting that you brought, you've actually been working on it since I originally saw it.
Yes.
And it has dramatically changed in that time.
Yeah.
So why don't we get started on that?
Okay.
Because I know that you have quite a few things that you are going to be showing us.
Yes. I have stencils. I have my fork. I have several pots of paint. I mix my paint colors myself. And I usually wear an apron, but I forgot it. So we're just going to, this is a soft gel. Where's my brush? Okay, I'll use this one. Get it wet a little bit. And here's some, I'm going to add some This is a copy of a stamp that I made, and I just copied it onto this tissue paper in my printer, and I use this soft gel matte medium. So it's like a glue, and it's a medium that you can use with the paint or just by itself. And I want to put this black and white on here. It just feels like it needs more black and white.
So this gel is actually an adhesive that will bind that to the painting then.
Yeah, it'll bind it, and you get all the air out of it. I'm using an old credit card, and you just kind of get all the, oh sorry, I'm probably making a horrible noise, but you have to get all the air out from underneath the piece that you're trying to adhere to the work. This is another one that I copied onto, I think this is deli paper. Not sure, but I have a piece of it in here, right here. So I want to put another piece somewhere in here so that it's not just all by itself, and it'll make the composition a little better when you have two things that are alike. You don't want to have one strange thing out there without another one. So I just get this on here. I may not have put enough of my medium, but it's easy to put more. Just slop it on. Make sure you get enough on the corners. And there that is. And you know, even if it folds over and you just put it on that way, it's fine. It'll glue, and once you get all your paint on it, it'll be just all the better.
Now,
Okay.
obviously today when you came to us, you brought certain things that you were going to be putting on this painting. So you do give some thought to what's going into it, or is that just because today you're giving a demonstration?
Oh, there's always thought. Well, like in the first layers, maybe no. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just thinking I'm going to put black and white on this white canvas and just start, because sometimes you don't feel like it, you know. You're just like, you're waiting for your inspiration. There is no inspiration. You just start working and it'll come. And as the layers go, then you're like thinking more of your composition, more of what you're feeling that day. And then you'll, you know, get better as the layers go on, and then you'll know what your layers will be as.
Are you going to show us how to use that fork?
Yeah, you want to use the fork?
I'd like to see how you use the fork.
Okay, so here's my little spatula, and I get my paint, and I just kind of put a glob of paint on here, and then I will get my fork. Where is it? Oh, okay. And that'll give me some, I could do whatever. I can circle, I can go like this, I can curl it around. I just kind of get into what I'm doing.
So I guess anything in your kitchen is fair game for your art.
I got my knife. Sometimes I just kind of want to have it be soft, so I'll go with my knife, put this color other places. And then there's my stencils. Put a little bit of paint on here. A bit of pink. And then we use a different brush for the stencil. We use a little flat, kind of compact thing. Mm-hmm. And
now see, I envision that you just take the brush and go across it.
I used to do it that way until I finally, the other day, it wasn't that long ago, I was having instruction with Tracy Owens in Auburn, and she said, "Oh no, you need one of these." And she popped up with one of these, and I went, "Oh my God, no wonder I can't get my stencils to work."
And that is the beauty of taking lessons, even though you've been painting for a long time.
Yeah, Oh yeah, you learn something. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. I quit work in my 40s and I started, you know, doing art with oils, and I just decided, and then, so then I took a couple classes, and the other day I'm at another class and I learned something totally new that I never heard of before. And so there's always, and maybe I heard of it before, but maybe I wasn't ready for it. And so you just have to be open to do whatever.
Well, I think artists, it's kind of like necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, totally, totally.
And so sharing with other artists, it's really interesting because it does help you create as well.
Oh yeah, and there's also YouTube videos. You know, there's all kinds of tutorials you can.
You know, I am going to actually have to interrupt you.
Uh-huh.
Because we're running out of time.
Oh, okay. Well, I can just keep painting.
Well, then let's do that, and I want to start. Let's talk a little bit about past.
Okay.
The Placer Art Studio Tour.
Okay.
You can go ahead and paint if you want to while we talk about it.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
But please tell us where you are going to be showing during the Placer Art Studio Tours.
Well, I am part of the Sun City Roseville community, and we have 4 artists that are going to be represented there. We're going to open up our art room and gallery, and we've got a photographer, Robert Chapineau. He's, you know, like universally known, wonderful photographer, has beautiful work. He's going to be showing with us. We've got Allie Sawyer, who is, she's kind of an abstract impressionist painter. She does landscapes and florals and, you know, different kinds of work. Her style is very unique. And then we've got a student going to join us. She's Devia Bott. She's a watercolorist. I haven't seen her work yet, but I've heard that she's a really good watercolorist. And she's going to be showing with us too in the art room. And so we'll be welcoming people for the 3 days. And it's at 7050 Del Webb Boulevard in Sun City, Roseville. We're open to the public. We have a restaurant, so you can come and have food or drinks and see the art.
Well, you know, I thank you so much for sharing that with us, and I'm so glad that you're on the Placer Art Studio Tour. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank you for tuning in to Auburn Community Television, Wave Channel 20. North Auburn Artists loves introducing artists to you, so maybe we are finding artists living just around the corner. Thanks for tuning in.